Hey everybody, it's Tristan Shuffles here, back with another Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel deck profile, and before we get into this deck list, remember to like, comment, and subscribe because it really makes a difference for the channel. So, the latest set brought with it the new Primite cards that help push Blue-Eyes White Dragon to a much greater power level so that it can truly compete with the best of the best in the current meta. You may remember that in the last video, I talked about the supplemental engines that you can play with Blue-Eyes to support the strategy. This one outclasses every single one of those because you have 3 new normal summons in the form of Primite Ether Beryl. If this card is normal summoned, you can set one Primite spell or trap card from your deck directly to the field, playing around Drillbeam and Lockbird. And you can set the Primite Lordly Lode. When this card is activated, add one Primite card from your deck to your hand, except for itself. And it has this additional effect where you can declare one normal monster card name, special summon that monster from the hand, deck, or graveyard in defense position. But after that, you cannot activate the effects of special summon monsters on the field this turn. So you'll want to set up everything and then special summon out Blue-Eyes with this effect last, right? You can also add the Primite Drillbeam, which is absolutely broken. Reveal one Primite card or one normal monster in your hand, except for itself. Or if you control a normal monster or a level 5 or higher Primite, that second part doesn't really matter. But you'll be targeting one face-up card on the field, negate its effects, and if you do, banish it. So it's a negate and a banish. Kind of feels rewarding and allows you to, avoid negation, get rid of your opponent's best card. The possibilities are pretty much endless, and it really helps supplement the mainline combo, which hasn't changed at all, where you normal summon Sage with Eyes of Blue and try to add the Maiden of White, sending that from your hand to the graveyard to set up True Light on your very first turn. And with True Light, you can set a Blue-Eyes spell or trap card, and you'll almost always be wanting to set up Wishes for Eyes of Blue, so you can add another level 1 light tuner and another Blue-Eyes spell or trap card. Generally, Roar of the Blue-Eyed Dragons if you're trying to extend, or Majesty of the White Dragons if you're playing into something like Maxi, so you just want to set up as much back row as possible to defend yourself on turn 2. Next up, I've changed the hand traps that I'm playing slightly. First off, we're still on 3 Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, but now there is somewhat of a conflict where we're also running 3 copies of Dominus Purge, because when you activate Dominus Purge, you can negate an effect of your opponent's that would add a card from the deck to the hand, and even destroy it if you already have a trap card in your graveyard, which you're almost always going to have with this deck. But after that, you cannot activate the effects of Dark Attribute, Water Attribute, and Fire Attribute monsters for the rest of this duel. So you're always going to want to try to use Ash Blossom first. And no matter what, you basically have to play Ash Blossom in a meta that's still dominated by Maxi and Molchambi-Fuelos. So you can counter those with both Ash Blossom and Dominus Purge. You have twice the chance of negating your opponent's draw effects there. Another way to stop them in their tracks is with Droll and Lockbird. I cut Molchambi-Fuelos because it wasn't always ending the opponent's turn, which is really what you want out of your powerful hand trap cards. And Droll and Lockbird can also be normal summoned in a pinch and linked off for the Spirit with Eyes of Blue, which I'm now running at 3 copies because Blue-Eyes has an absolutely outstanding grind game in longer duels, but it can't really close out the game in a single turn, so I was always finding myself wanting to be able to special summon Spirit with Eyes of Blue from the extra deck with any level 1 light tuner that I already had. Run 3 copies. That solves that problem right there. And you can also summon it with Droll or Effect Veiler. So Effect Veiler is still a starter for this deck when you are in a tough spot as well. Cut down to 2 copies of Triple Tactics Talent. This just punishes your opponent for using hand traps and allows you to continue to draw if they negate Wishes for Eyes of Blue with Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. You've got 2 Called by the Grave to hopefully negate your opponent's hand traps, and it's just too good of a card to pass up on. Some slight changes to the extra deck as well. I'm running 2 copies of Blue-Eyes Tyrant Dragon because now that we have so many trap cards, I want to activate Tyrant Dragon's second effect that at the end of the damage step, if this card battled, you can target 1 trap card in your graveyard and reset it to the field. Aside from that, the extra deck is pretty much the same with Neo Blue-Eyes Ultimate Dragon, 2 copies of Blue-Eyes Spirit Dragon, 1 Baronne de Fleur, so that when you have a level 9 monster and a level 1 light tuner, you can always threaten to summon Baronne de Fleur and force out your opponent's hand traps earlier than they'd otherwise like. Cosmic Blazar Dragon is for when you have summoned pretty much everything you need so that you're getting out the Blue-Eyes Ultimate Spirit Dragon and Crimson Dragon on your opponent's turn, and gives you a powerful Omni-Negate for battles and summons and other sorts of effects there. Superstar Slayer Typhon is in this extra deck as well in case you get stuck. The 3 Spirit with Eyes of Blue I've talked about already, and Hieratic Seal of the Heavenly Spheres, which I'm noticing I'm summoning a lot more now that Primite Lordly Lode gives you an extra copy of the original Blue-Eyes White Dragon at the end of your turn. Then we have SP Little Knight. I know it conflicts with Dominus Purge, but it's just too strong of a card to pass up on versus the other cards that you could be playing in this extra deck. With all that being said, it's time to see this deck in action, so let's get into those games! First up, we have a duel against Ritual Beast that shows off what this Blue-Eyes deck can do, going entirely uninterrupted on the opening turn. We start things off with the Primite Lordly Lode to add the Primite Dragon Ether Beryl for our normal summon, setting the Primite Drillbeam, linking that off into Spirit with Eyes of Blue, use its effect to add the Mausoleum of White. Activate Mausoleum of White, send Blue-Eyes White Dragon from our deck to the graveyard, bring it back with the second effect of Spirit with Eyes of Blue. We can normal summon 1 more time here with Sage with Eyes of Blue, adding Maiden of White, sending her to the graveyard to set up True Light. Use True Light's effect to set Roar of the Blue-Eyed Dragons, Synchro Summon into our first Blue-Eyed Spirit Dragon, use Roar of the Blue-Eyed Dragons to bring out the second Blue-Eyes White Dragon, Maiden of White, special summons herself to the field, Primite Lordly Lode, brings back the Blue-Eyes White Dragon, and we can Synchro Summon 1 more time into Blue-Eyes Spirit Dragon, and now we have Drillbeam active along with Majesty of the White Dragon set. They use Spiritual Beast Tamer Lara to get an extra normal summon. I realize they're on Ritual Beast, so it's better to just bring out the Blue-Eyes Ultimate Spirit Dragon and Crimson Dragon, allowing us to summon the Cosmic Blazar Dragon so we can negate their normal summon here of Rampangu. They use Emergency Teleport, but Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring handles that nicely, so they have to banish cards from their graveyard to bring out their Ritual Beast Ulti Nochi Drago. We can negate that's effect on field and destroy their 2 cards with Majesty of the White Dragons. They normal summon 1 more time to show that that's all they had left and scoop it up from there. Now we're into game 2, where we are dueling against a Tenpai deck. Unfortunately, I didn't know that since I was going first, but I'm still able to take care of them. Let's use Primite Lordly Lode. They negate that with Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. Big mistake. Now we can use Maiden of White to set up True Light, and oh nope, they've got Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit, so True Light is destroyed. We have to normal summon Effect Veiler, link that off in Spirit with Eyes of Blue. We can add Mausoleum of White, use its effect to send a Blue-Eyes from our deck to the graveyard, and they have a 3rd hand trap, the Bestial Magnamode. That's going to be a problem, so I have to negate that with Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. And now that that's been used, I can special summon out Hieratic Seals and use the Dominus Purge in my hand as freely as I want, since I don't need fire monster effects anymore. They normal summon Tenpai Dragon Hydra, and we can destroy that as well as negate it with Dominus Purge from the hand. They have to attack, and I bounced my own Primite Lordly Lode so that I would get the extra activation here and summon the Ether Beryl, which is going to return to our hand in the standby phase here. We draw Sage, which is an amazing draw. They use Ghost Spell of the Haunted Mansion, but that isn't going to help them too much. We can use Lordly Lode again here, and they have Droll and Lockbird, but we can still set the Primite Drillbeam and link that off into Spirit with Eyes of Blue so that we can bring Blue-Eyes back to the field and destroy their monster by battle. Maiden of White returns to the field as well. We can send that to set up True Light once again, even though it was destroyed earlier. Synchro Summon Blue-Eyes Spirit Dragon, use True Light to bring back the Blue-Eyes White Dragon, attack them directly with the Blue-Eyes Spirit Dragon, and as we end our turn here, we have Primite Drillbeam set, so that's going to negate and banish anything they have left. They draw 1 card, it wouldn't have helped them anyway. They have to concede from there. Next up, we have the mirror match against a Primite Blue-Eyes player. and they are going first, and we have a good enough hand to go second, even with only one hand trap card. They activate Wishes for Eyes of Blue. We can negate that with our Dominus Purge. Hopefully they don't have anything else to know. They've got the Maiden of White, so they're setting up True Light and setting the Roar of the Blue-Eyed Dragons. They use that to special summon out Blue-Eyes White Dragon, special summon Maiden of White from the graveyard with their own effect, and then they equip with Wish's second effect the Neo Blue-Eyes Ultimate Dragon, Synchro Summoning into Blue-Eyes Spirit Dragon to give them that targeting protection. Okay, this can be cleared with the triple Tactics talent in our hand. Let's summon Primite Dragon Ether Beryl, setting up the Lordly Lode. They special summon out the Blue-Eyes Ultimate Spirit Dragon, but I predicted that, and they have to use its effect to stop triple Tactics talent. They have to use Ash Blossom to stop Primite Lordly Lode, and then I can use Spirit with Eyes of Blue, but they negate that with Infinite Impermanence. Okay, we still have some plays here because we have our own Wishes for Eyes of Blue, so we can add Majesty of the White Dragons and Maiden of White for the following turn. I didn't expect them to concede here, but I guess I just had so many more resources than them that they decided to surrender. For our last duel of the video, we've got a game against someone who's playing one of the other new decks from the latest set. The opponent is on Sharks, as I should have known from their Bagooska mate. They are going first and summon out the Buzzsaw Shark. We can negate that with Effect Veiler. They use Called by the Grave, unfortunately, to negate that, so they are off to the races here. They've got Surfacing Big Jaws. They see summon into that Bahamut Shark, detaching one material to special summon out the Lure Virtue Dragon. Let's negate that with Dominus Purge while we can, because otherwise they'll have an Omni negate. So they return Surfacing Big Jaws to their hand, summon out the Full Armored Black Ray Lancer, and summon out Number F0 into Number F0 Utopic Draco Future. They special summon the Surfacing Big Jaws, use its effect at Drake Shark, and special summon out that Drake Shark, and summon out the number 4 Stealth Kraken. Hydrojet Shark appears, and they special summon the Crystal Shark back from the graveyard. They've got 2 Stealth Krakens and Utopic Draco Future. But with the Primite cards, we can totally break this, and Wishes for Eyes of Blue is going to help with that as well. Let's use Maiden of White, try to bait out their monster effect negate, but they don't want to use it. Okay, let's use Wishes for Eyes of Blue, discarding Wishes, adding Roar of the Blue-Eyed Dragons and Sage with Eyes of Blue. Let's normal summon that. They destroy it right away on summon. And we have to use Primite Lordly Lode to add that Primite Drillbeam. We can special summon out the Blue-Eyes White Dragon, and they finally negate something. It's the Maiden of White, but we can stop that with our Primite Drillbeam that is now active. So it's too late for them. Even though they tried to destroy Maiden of White, we can equip Neo Blue-Eyes Ultimate Dragon, go into Tyrant Dragon to clear these Stealth Dragons so they are no longer a problem for us. That's pretty good. We can also set up the Dominus Purge, and the opponent is stuck on 3 cards, so let's see how they fare. They use Hydrojet Shark to add the Aquajet Surface. Okay, haven't seen this before. They bring back the Buzzsaw Shark, which could be a problem, and they've got Xyz Remora in rotation here as well. They bring out the Abyss Dweller, not a big deal. They summon out the Xyz Armor Fortress. I decided to negate that right away with Dominus Purge, and it would hopefully destroy it, but we don't have any trap cards in the graveyard, so they bring out the Full Armor Dark Knight and add back the Xyz Remora. I didn't even know you could add that, but I guess it's an Xyz card. Okay, they use Aquajet Surface to gain enough attack to clear the Blue-Eyes Tyrant Dragon. Can't reset any trap cards because I used Dominus Purge and it's water now. Wow. Anyway, we can use True Light here to set Majesty of the White Dragons. Now we've got some follow-up for next turn. And Ether Beryl, that's what we already had in hand, so we're normal summoning it. And its attack is different from its original, so they get to destroy it, which is not great, but at least I can clear the full armored monster with my trap card. Let's use True Light to bring back Blue-Eyes White Dragon. Maiden of White returns to the field. We can link that off into Spirit with Eyes of Blue. Use Spirit with Eyes of Blue to finally add Mausoleum of White, and they have Droll and Lockbird as well. Okay, that might be a problem, but we are going to bring out another Blue-Eyes White Dragon by sending one to the graveyard, and I wanted those extra attack points to hopefully end the game as soon as possible. Let's bring out Blue-Eyes White Dragon, destroy Dragon 0 with that, and attack them directly. They activate 2 copies of Milcharmy's Ruelas, probably showing me that they wish they had gone second, but you got to go first, so I think it's okay to watch them concede from there. So we're back with the deck list, and although this deck can brick occasionally, it has never felt better to play than with the Primite support, because the card quality of the Primite cards is just so high, and you'll always be adding new cards from your deck to your hand, or setting them on your field from either your deck or your graveyard to manage to outclass the opponent over multiple turns. So keep that in mind and be ready for some long but rewarding games. That'll do it for this video. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll catch you all in the next one.